someone who would impersonate the Messiah and would deceive Banu Israel. That someone was known as Dajjal, the false Messiah, or Al-Masih al-Dajjal. In order for him to successfully complete his mission, Dajjal, number one, would have to liberate the Holy Land of non-Jewish rule. Number two, Dajjal would have to bring the Jews back to the Holy Land from wherever they were. Number three, Dajjal would have to restore the state of Israel. And number four, Dajjal will have to take that state of Israel to a status where it will become the ruling state in the world. And that is about to happen. That is about to happen. When that happens, then Dajjal has accomplished his mission, provided that Banu Israel is convinced this is the return of the golden age. And so Dajjal has to operate by way of deception. This is why he has a PhD in deception. In order to fulfill this mission, the Prophet ﷺ explained to us some of the strategies of Dajjal, through which mankind would be enslaved. And one people will be able to rule the world. That method for the enslavement of mankind is the economic enslavement of mankind. It is done through something called riba. He said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that the age of Dajjal would be the age of kathratu riba. Namely, riba will take control of the economy around the world. The age of Dajjal will also be the age when he would control the climate. He will stop the rain from falling. Not because he discovers a new methodology of climatology, but rather through something called dukhan, smoke. Environmental pollution emerges, and that environmental pollution causes climatic change. Ask Lahore. They're praying for rain in Lahore, and they'll tell you about how climatic change can come about in consequence of environmental pollution. One more statement about Dajjal, and we're ready to start. He said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that the last people to come out to Dajjal, the false Messiah, the Antichrist, would be women. And a man would have to return to his home and tie down his wife and sister and daughter to protect and preserve them from Dajjal. Meaning, they're going to be so brainwashed. There's going to be something like a hypnotic spell upon them that you cannot penetrate them. The women of the world will be swept off their feet by a new philosophy pertaining to women. A new philosophy of feminism. And the struggle for women's liberation. This is the age of Dajjal and the final stage of the age of Dajjal. With those preliminary observations, let us now begin our subject. the story that I have to tell you. The Prophet ﷺ has just completed the Hajj, the first and the last Hajj he ever performed. He gives the sermon or the khutbatul wida. And then revelation comes down, which every Muslim knows, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala announces, Al-Yawm akmaltu lakum deenakum. I've completed my job. I've completed my job. The religion is now perfected. So we thought that this was the end when this revelation came down. But no. The Prophet ﷺ now returns to Medina. There are about 81 days left in his blessed life. And then two things happen which are extraordinary. The first is that one more revelation of the Quran comes down on the authority of Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, and recorded in the Sahih of Imam al-Bukhari. He said, the last revelation to come down was the revelation on riba in Surah Al-Baqarah, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala declared war for the liberation of the oppressed from the economic oppression of riba. فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلُوا, if you do not give it up, فَأَذَنُوا بِحَرْبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ, then take notice of a declaration of war from Allah and His Messenger. Why should Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala send down one more revelation after having said, this day I have perfected for you your deen, I have completed my favor unto you? The answer appears to be that in this subject of riba or usury lies one of the greatest dangers that can face the world and that can face the ummah of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam for the rest of history. Do not neglect the study of this subject. That is what it means. And that's precisely what we've done. I live in the capital city of riba, New York City. I have been teaching the subject in New York and in the United States for the last 6-7 years. And I'm still the only one in the capital city of riba to be teaching this subject. No one else. And as I teach this subject, I am amazed of how little knowledge our people have. We now turn to the second event, which is the subject of our talk tonight. It is within these 81 days, shortly before the death of the Prophet ﷺ, therefore, and he, the Prophet ﷺ, was sitting in the masjid. And all of us were sitting there with him, all the companions, when something strange happened. Something mysterious happened. Something dramatic happened. Something unforgettable. A stranger entered into the masjid. He was dressed all in white, and his hair was black. No one knew him, so he could not have been from Medina. He has to be a stranger from outside. But in those days, you didn't have air-conditioned Toyota Camrys. Mr. Chairman, you don't have a Camry. In those days, you didn't have air-conditioned Toyota Camrys. You had to travel by horse or by camel. And when you travel through the desert, then you'll have the sand of the desert in your hair and on your clothing, and in your beard. In those days people used to grow beards. And in your eyes and in your ears and all over. So anyone can see this is a traveler. But this stranger has no dust upon him. Not at all. So this is something which is baffling. Baffling. He's not a resident, and there is no evidence that he has traveled.